Book of Heaven, Volume 14. 10th to the 20th of July 1922. Page 67 to 75. July 10, 1922. Living in the divine will is to repeat the real life of Jesus, not only in the soul, but also in the body. Continuing in my usual state, I felt my always lovable Jesus in my interior, but so real that now I would feel him squeeze my heart so tightly as to make me suffer. Now he would clasp his arms around my neck to the point of suffocating me. Now he would sit on my heart, assuming an air of dominion and command, and I would feel as though annihilated and then risen again to new life under his command. But who can say what he did in my interior, and what I felt? I believe it is better to pass over it in silence. Then, while I was feeling his real presence in my interior, he told me, "My daughter, rise, rise more. But so high as to reach the womb of the divinity. Your life will be among the divine persons. See, in order to make you reach this point, I formed my life in you, I enclosed my eternal volition in whatever you do, and there it flows in a marvelous and surprising way, as my volition is acting in you in a continuous immediate act. Now, after I have formed my life in you, with my will acting in you, in your acts, your will has remained soaked, transfused, in such a way that my volition possesses a life upon the earth. Now it is necessary that you rise and carry with you my life, my will, so that my volition of the earth and that of heaven may fuse together, and you may live for some time in the womb of the divinity, where your volition will be acting in mine, in order to expand it as much as a creature can be capable of. Then, you will descend again upon the earth, bringing the power and the prodigies of my will, in such a way that the creatures will be shaken, they will open their eyes, and many will know what it means to live in my will, to live in the likeness to their Creator. This will be the beginning of the coming of my kingdom upon earth, and of the final fulfillment of my will. Do you think that living in my will is something trivial? There is nothing that equals it, nor sanctity that matches it. It is the real life, not a fantastic one, as some may think. And this life of mine is not only in the soul, but also in the body. But do you know how this life of mine is formed? My eternal will is that of the soul, and my heartbeat, palpitating in her heart, forms my conception. Her love, her pains, and all of her acts done in my will form my humanity, and make me grow so much that I cannot remain hidden, nor can she help feeling me. Don't you feel me, alive, in your interior? This is why I told you that the sanctity of living in my will cannot be matched by anything else. All other sanctities will be like little lights, while it will be the great sun transfused in its Creator. Now, in order to obey, and with great repugnance, I will say how I feel my Jesus in my interior. I feel him at the place of my heart, almost in a visible way. Now I hear him praying, and many times I hear him with the ears of my body, and I pray together with him. Now suffering, and he makes me hear his interrupted and labored breath, and I feel it in my breathing, so much so, that I am forced to pant together with him. And since all creatures are contained in him, I feel his breath diffusing as life in all human motions and breaths, and I diffuse myself together with him. Now I feel him moan and agonize, now I feel him move his arms and stretch them within mine, now sleeping, and my interior remains in deep silence. But who can say everything? Jesus alone can say what he operates in me, for I don't have adequate words to manifest it. I did it only to obey, with highest torment for my soul, and for fear that Jesus might be displeased, because he bears with me as long as obedience does not command me, but if obedience commands, only the fiat is left to me, otherwise it would annihilate me. I hope that everything be for his glory, and to my confusion. July 14, 1922. How God is naturally inclined to generate beings similar to himself. Luisa, the one who generates the kingdom of the divine will, in others. As I was in my usual state, my sweet Jesus carried me outside of myself, up into the womb of the Eternal One. But while I was swimming in that womb, and I am unable to say what I felt and what I understood, because I lack the words to express myself, my always lovable Jesus told me, "Beloved daughter of our will, I have brought you into the womb of our divinity, so that your will may extend more within ours, and may participate in our way of acting." Our divinity is naturally inclined to generate, it does nothing but generate continuously, and all things created by us carry with them the virtue of generating. The sun generates light in each human eye, in each work and step. It seems that it multiplies for each man, for each plant and for each point of the earth. If it did not have this virtue, this connection with its Creator who generates, by no means could the sun give light to all and be at everyone's disposal. The flower generates another flower, fully similar to itself. The seed generates another seed. Man generates another man. All things carry with them the virtue of generating from their Creator. So, we are so very naturally inclined to generate and to reproduce from ourselves beings similar to ourselves. This is why I have called you into our womb, so that, as you live with us, your will, diffusing within ours, may expand and generate sanctity, light and love together with us, and multiplying in every one with us, it may generate in others that which it has received from us. This is the only thing, wanted by us, which is left for us to fulfill with regard to creation, that our will act in the creature as it acts in us. Our love wants to unleash our will from our womb in order to place it in the creature, but it keeps looking for one who is disposed, who would recognize it and appreciate it, in order to generate in her what it generates in us. This is the reason for so many graces, so many manifestations about my will. It is the sanctity of my will that demands that it be known, loved and revered, before being placed in the soul, that it be able to display all its virtue and power within her, and that it be surrounded by the cortege of our own graces. So, everything I do to you is nothing other than equipping and adorning the dwelling of my will. Therefore, be attentive. Here in our womb you will learn our ways better, and you will receive all the prerogatives which befit the designs we have formed over you. July 16, 1922. In order to reign, the sanctity of living in the divine will must be known. Since the confessor had told me that I had to let copying be done from my writings of that which blessed Jesus made me write on the different virtues, I felt a pain in me, a martyrdom, in letting what Jesus had told me come out. So, as blessed Jesus came, I said to him, "My love, only for me these martyrdoms, that I myself have to be the instrument for putting out what you have manifested to me. More so, since in having to put out what you told me, I am forced in certain things to put out also myself. My Jesus, what martyrdom! Yet, although with highest torture for my soul, I am forced to obey. Give me strength, help me. This was only for me. You have said so many things to others, and given many graces to them, but no one has known anything. And if something has become known after their death, the rest remained all buried with them. I alone had to get this martyrdom. And Jesus all goodness told me, my daughter, courage, do not lose heart too much. I will be with you also in this. Before my will, yours must disappear, and then, it is the sanctity of my will that wants to be known. Here is the reason. The sanctity of living in my will has no path, nor doors, nor keys, nor rooms, it invades everything. It is like the air that one breathes, everyone must and can breathe it. By just wanting it, and putting the human will aside, the divine volition will let itself be breathed by the soul, and will give her the life, the effects, the value of the life of my volition. But if it is not known, how can they love and want a living so holy, and the greatest glory that the creature can give me? The sanctity of other virtues is enough known in the whole Church, and whoever wants it, can copy it. This is why I was not concerned with multiplying that same knowledge. But the sanctity of living in my will, the effects and the value it contains, the finishing touch which my creative hand will give to the creature in order to make her similar to me, is not yet known. This is the reason for all my haste, so that what I told you be manifested. And if you did not do so, you would constrain my will, imprison within me the flames which devour me, and make me delay the complete glory that creation owes me. However, I want things to come out orderly, because one missing word, one broken nexus, connection or sentence, instead of shedding light, would cast darkness about me, and instead of making creatures give me glory and love, would make them remain indifferent. Therefore, be attentive. I want what I have said to come out whole. But in order to put your part entirely, I am forced to put part of mine. And Jesus, and what do you mean by this? If we have made the way together, do you want me to come out into the field alone? And then, whom should I point out and place as example to be imitated, if the one whom I instructed and who has the practice of the way to live in my will does not want to be known? My daughter, this is absurd. Ah, Jesus, in what a maze you throw me. I feel I am dying. I hope that your fiat will give me the strength. Therefore, remove your will, and my fiat will do everything. July 20, 1922. The living in my will must graft in the soul all that the divine will did and made Jesus suffer in his humanity. As I was in my usual state, my always lovable Jesus came and plunged me so deep into his will, that even if I wanted to go out, it would have been impossible for me. It happened to me as to a person who has willingly allowed himself to be flung from his own little place to an interminable place. And in seeing the length of the way, of which he knows not even the boundaries, he gives up the thought of tracing his little place, but he is happy of his lot. So, while I was swimming in the immense sea of the divine will, my sweet Jesus told me, "Dearest daughter of my will, I want to make of you a repeater of my life. The living in my will must graft in the soul all that my will did and made me suffer in my humanity. My will tolerates no dissimilarities. See, my eternal will imposed on my humanity to accept as many deaths for as many creatures as would have life in the light of the day, and my humanity accepted these deaths with love, so much so, that the eternal volition made as many marks in my humanity for as many deaths as I was to suffer. Now, would you want me to mark your will with as many marks as mine received, so that you may suffer as many deaths as I suffered?" I said, "Fiat." And Jesus, with both mastery and speed, marked my will with many marks of death, as many as he had, telling me, "Be attentive and strong in suffering these deaths. More so, since from these deaths life will come out for as many other creatures." Now, while he was saying this, he touched me with his own creative hands, and as he touched me, he created suffering, such as to make me feel mortal pains. He tore my heart, and wounded it in 1,000 ways. Now with arrows of fire, now with arrows so ice-cold as to make me numb, now he squeezed it so tightly that I remained immobile. But who can say everything? He alone can say what he was doing. I felt crushed, annihilated, and I almost feared I wouldn't have enough strength. And he, as though wanting to rest from the pains he had given me, continued, "What do you fear? Perhaps that my will may not have enough strength to sustain you in the pains I want to give you? Or that you might go out of the boundaries of my will? This will never be. Don't you see how many immense seas my will has extended around you, in such a way that you yourself cannot find the way out? All the truths, the effects, the values, the knowledges I manifested to you have been as many seas by which you have been surrounded, and yet more seas will I continue to extend. Courage, my daughter. All this is necessary to the sanctity of living in my will, to generate likeness between me and the soul. So I did with my mamma. I did not tolerate even one little pain, or act or good which I did, in which she would not participate. One was the will that animated us, and therefore, when I suffered deaths and pains, or when I worked, she would die, suffer, work together with me. In her soul she was to be my faithful copy, in such a way that, in reflecting myself in her, I would find another myself. Now, that which I did with my mamma, I want to do with you. After her, I place you. I want the most holy Trinity to be reflected on earth, myself, my mamma, and you. And this is necessary, so that through a creature my will may have its operating life upon earth. And how can it have this operating life if I did not give what my will contains, and what it made my humanity suffer? My will had true operating life in me and in my inseparable mamma. Now I want it to have it in you. One creature is absolutely necessary to me, so my will has established, the others will be conditioned. I felt all confused. I understood what Jesus was saying, and I felt my poor being, more annihilated and destroyed. I felt so unworthy that I thought to myself, what a mistake Jesus is making. There are so many good souls that he could have chosen. But while I was thinking of this within myself, he added, "Poor daughter, your littleness dissolves when it is near me, but so I have decided. I had to take her from the human race. Had I not taken you, I would have taken another creature. But since you are the littlest one, I raised you on my knees, I nourished you at my breast like a little baby. So, I feel my own life in you, and therefore I fixed my gaze on you. I looked at you over and over again and, pleased, I called the Father and the Holy Spirit to look at you as well and, unanimously, we chose you. Therefore, all that is left to you is to be faithful to me, and to embrace with love the life, the pains, the effects, and everything that our will wants.